Good morning. Welcome back to 10 Minutes of Meaning. May we have Besoros Tovos today. 10 Minutes of Meaning series is generously sponsored by Shmuel and Esther Shai with Lili Nishma, says Father Yaakov Yudah ben Gedaliah, and in the schutz of Refuah Shlema of her mother, Batsheva Bas Bluma, Rivka should have a speedy and complete Refuah Shlema. We've been learning Iggeres HaRamban, the Ramban's letter to his son, the Ramban's letter really to all of us. The Ramban has been giving us the formula for serenity. Who doesn't want peace, tranquility, serenity? Who doesn't want their relationships to be enhanced, the relationships to be strong? And the Ramban is giving us that formula, how to spare ourselves from anger by conditioning ourselves to always speak peacefully. And when a person is spared anger in their heart, rather than rage and anger, is filled with anava, with humility. If a person never raises their voice, a person never loses their cool, a person never gets angry, then they live with modesty and humility. And modesty and humility are the stepping stones, the prerequisite to a life of yira, a life of awe, a life of being able to recognize Hashem is godless. And once a person feels awe, now they look around this world, says the Ramban, and they say to themselves, Kititin alibcha tamid, a person puts in their heart, not occasionally, not every now and then, but tamid always, me'ayin basa, where do you come from? La'ana ta'olechem, where are you going? Sha'atarima b'soleya b'chayecha, that we are worm food in our lifetime, v'af ki b'mosach, v'lefnei mi'ata asilitein din v'cheshbon, and before whom we are going to have to give an accounting. And we spoke last week. The Ramban here is really tapping into this duality that we live with. Simultaneously, we know godless Adam, but techasrei me'at me'elokim, we're just a little bit below God. We have greatness, we're royalty, we're the children of Hashem. We have godless Adam, the greatness of man. You understand the potential, you understand the greatness, you understand who we are, and at the same time, shiftless Adam. Simultaneously, we are utterly pathetic. We are literally pathetic. We're future worm food. We are entirely dependent. We are incapable without Hashem. That duality, that awareness of that tension between the two is the secret to life. And then the Ramban says, of course, the Ramban here is quoting Chazal, before whom we're going to have to give din v'cheshbon. So what does it mean, din v'cheshbon? Is that redundant? There's a difference between the two. So the Gra, the Vilna Gaon, has a famous insight. Famous because I happen to know it. On din v'cheshbon. And the Gra says the following. Din means an accountability. We do something wrong. There's schar v'onesh. One of the principles of our faith is there's accountability. There's consequence. We live in a generation of helicopter parenting, of bulldozer parenting. Parents want to swoop in and bail out and protect and insulate children so that they never experience any accountability, any consequences. They didn't study, they failed the test, we'll get the teacher to give them a good grade anyway. We're going to bail them out, we'll call the boss, we'll go to the interview, we'll get them the job, we'll bail them out. And it's a mistake, it's a terrible mistake. Because in life there are consequences. And in the afterlife there are consequences. One of the 13 principles of faith. In fact, the Ramban doesn't explicitly count Bechira, or what he calls Rishus, free will. We spoke about this past Shabbos. The Rambam doesn't count as one of the 13 principles of faith. It is suggested that the Rambam subsumes Bechira under schar v'onesh, the notion that there are consequences, there is a reward and punishment. When a ger, when a potential convert, a candidate is standing in the mikveh and we ask a series of questions, one of the questions we ask is, do you believe in consequences? You think life is just whatever you want, free for all, whatever makes you happy? Or do you realize that there's a creator, there's a source of our existence, there's a master of the universe? He has expectations of us, he loves us, but there are also consequences. The world and life is filled with consequences. You put your finger in an outlet, you're going to electrocute yourself. You run in the middle of the street, you get run over by a car. You don't study for a test, you're going to fail. Life is filled with consequences. Schar v'onesh. So din, says the Gra, is schar v'onesh. It's consequences. We do the right things, we draw close to Hashem. We do the wrong things, we find ourselves distant from Him. We are accountable. We're about to begin Chodesh Elul, and that's what Elul really is all about. Inventory and stock on the choices that we're making on our lives, recognizing and being inspired and motivated by the notion that there are consequences. So what's cheshbon? If din is the judgment, the consequence and the accountability for what we've done, then what's cheshbon? So the Gra says brilliantly. He says din is consequence for what you did wrong. Cheshbon is the consequence or the accountability for what you could have done right in that same time. Person who stays up all night and they're watching the wrong thing. They're not shomer their einayim. They're not guiding their eyes. They're watching. They immerse themselves in a world of tumah, in a world of spiritual impurity and contamination, they're watching the wrong thing. Or even if they're not violating the boundaries of explicit content, but they're wasting their time on narishkeit. So a person din, there's a consequence for wasting time. But there's cheshbon, what could you have been doing instead? Learning, chesed, checking in on someone, spending time with family, taking care of your health and wellness, sleeping so you could learn better, work better the next day. Din, what you did wrong. Cheshbon is what you could have done right. It's a similar word. Why is it that the Metzora, the person who speaks Motzi Shemra, why do they have to bring Shtei Tziporim? They bring two birds. If they did one thing wrong by speaking ill of another, by gossip and slander, so bring one bird. Why do they bring two birds? The answer is they violated the power of speech by speaking negatively, but how could they have more positively used that power of speech? How could that power of speech been used to compliment, to speak positively, to help? So the Ramban tells his son that we should always be aware. With every decision we make throughout the day, with every choice, with every action, what will be the consequence of the choice I'm about to make? And what's the cheshbon? How could I have used this time, this energy, these resources instead? I just bought something. I'm entitled to buy things, but is that the best use of it? I'm just allocating this time. Is this the best activity? I'm giving my energy. Is this the best use of it? Lifnei Melech HaKavod, says the Ramban, before whom? Lifnei Melech HaKavod. We're going to appear before the King of Kings, the Judge of Judges, Shenamar, a pasuk in Malachim Aleph, Hinei HaShamayim u'Shmei HaShamayim, lo yichal kalucha, af ki libos b'nei Adam. The pasuk says, if the heavens and the Shmei HaShamayim are unable to grasp and unable to truly comprehend Hashem, all the more so man, humanity, so mere mortals, we're so finite, we're so frail. How could we possibly understand Hashem? V'nemar, and the pasuk says, Yirmiyahu Chav Gimel, Halo es Hashemayim v'es ani malei ne'um Hashem. Heaven and earth, I fill, says Hashem. So we'll end with this. Heaven and earth, I fill, says Hashem. That's not the way we normally formulate. When you want to say that you have a basket that's filled with fruit, what do you say? A basket filled with fruit. You don't say, it's fruit filling a basket. It's fruit filling a basket. You say it's a basket that's filled with fruit. So it should have said, the Shemayim va'aretz are filled with Hashem. Kadosh Baruch Hu says, instead, Kadosh Baruch Hu says, I fill heaven and earth. It should have been heaven and earth are filled with Hashem. A basket is filled with fruit, not fruit fill the basket. So the Mashkiach Shliter of Dan Segel says, in his commentary on Iggeres HaRamban, the Teretz says, Hashemayim va'aretz atzmam, gam hem kudsha brichu, ve'ein lahem metzias atzmis, HaKadosh Baruch Hu yu memali kol almim. As the Zohar says, Kadosh Baruch Hu is existence. There is no existence without him. The basket exists, the fruit exists, so the basket is filled with fruit. You don't say the fruit fills the basket. But you can't say there's a world, and then Hashem, the world is filled with Hashem. Allah, it's kinyanecha, you can make a kinyan on Hashem, go around the world and see him everywhere and in everything. No, it's not that there is a world and then Hashem fills it. There's no world without Hashem. We're living in the matrix. We're living in a world that's an illusion. We're living in the imagination of Hashem. This is just an image. So therefore, the pasuk says, when a person realizes that I'm just in an illusion, I'm in a world that is just a matrix, that this is Hashem, then a person is going to live with a consciousness and a mindfulness and an intention. A person is going to make better choices and right choices. We'll be able to regulate our emotions, our actions, our behavior. We'll live our best selves. I'll just say on one more insight. Baal Shem Tov, the Heilige Baal Shem says, we know the pasuk, we sing, Ein Natzur Kelokeinu. There is no rock like God. God is the rock that we lean on. The Chazal darshan, not Ein Sur Kelokeinu, but Ein Sayar Kelokeinu. We've shared many times. What is Ein Sayar Kelokeinu? There's no artist like God. Go to the Swiss Alps and the Grand Canyon and Glacier National Park. Go tour the world and you'll see Ein Sayar Kelokeinu. There is no artist like HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But the Heilige Baal Shem says, Ein Sayar Kelokeinu means, how do you test the quality of an artist? The better the artist, the less you believe it's a painting. What do you say about the painting of the greatest artist? You say, it looks so real. It looks so real. I confused it with being real. They're so talented. They're so good. I thought it was real, but it's really only art. Ein Sayar Kelokeinu means Hashem is so good, we make the mistake of thinking this world is real, says the Baal Shem. He's the greatest artist. Ein Sayar Kelokeinu. He's so talented. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he made a world that we believe that this illusion is reality. We believe this artwork is real. We think that we're real and the world is real and we're operating in it. And they were the ones making choices. Ein Sayar Kelokenu says the Baal Shem. We have to realize we're just in his imagination. We're just figures in his painting. We're just operating in his world. There's not a world that's filled with Hashem. There is no world independent of Hashem. And writes the Ramban to his son, when we realize that, we'll be much more vigilant on din v'cheshbon. We'll live better lives. We'll live better selves. It should be a day filled with besoros tovos. Hope to see you later at the Yom Kippur Katan Tefillah.